Hey guys, welcome back to the SADGA Podcast and a very, very special episode this evening. We're joined by two of the SADGA Handicap League players in Johan, Plooy and Basil, Mann, and also our fantastic patron Dale Hayes. How are you guys doing today? This evening, rather.
Okay, and yourself? Hi,
Yeah,
everyone.
good, thank you.
As they say, all's good so far.
Bit of a change of
I'm above it.
bit of a change of scenery for you, Dale, from the commentary booth on the Sunshine Tour to StreamYard.
It certainly is. And as I mentioned to you before, I'm technologically challenged, so all this is very, very new to me and very a little bit sort of daunting for me.
No, it's all good. Well, we really appreciate you taking the time to have a chat with us. But Johan, I think maybe let's start with you. Would you mind just sort of giving us a bit of insight into when you guys first started discussing the possibility of entering a team for the Handicap League this year?
Yeah, look, it started basically as when I joined the Gauteng North Golf Union, on their meetings. And I, got a bit more wise sitting in their meetings. And I asked them if, what's the possibility if we could enter a team, as we don't have a club as such, because normally when you enter a team, you need to belong to a specific club, but as an association. And they were all keen to do that because they've been looking after us quite well in Pretoria or Gauteng North. And then I spoke to Dale and asked, him and Swartkop if they would accommodate us, as hosting us. Then you let that Swartkop being our, our host, games. And then I spoke to Basil because I used to play league in Joburg, in the Gauteng Central League. He played for Leeuwkop. And that's how it started. It started basically around when we had our provincial challenge here at Swartkop, around that time.
Okay.
Yeah. So and then we got the go-ahead from different people, and we officially entered the forms, and it was accepted by the Gauteng North executive.
And from a format standpoint, would you mind just sort of explaining to people how that all works?
Yeah, look, all the teams will have the same formats. There's different formats that you can enter in. So you enter Scratch League if your handicap is you're able to play from a zero handicap, and then you can play senior, older than 50, and there's Handicap League and normal senior. There's Ladies League, all kinds of leagues. So we entered a team because that is, we've got most of our guys. Luckily, not most of them, but we've got lots of guys in Pretoria specifically, at clubs locally, because you need to belong to the region into a club there. You can't say belong to a Northwest club and then enter a Gauteng North League. So, but anyway, so many of us are from Swartkop, and there's other guys from Waterkloof and so forth. So we entered the Handicap Senior, the Handicap Normal League. Now, Handicap League, by the name, is normally a doubles, a better ball, and you play from, as it says, from your handicap. However, there's no points associated to, say, the four guys playing, say, Basil and I play together for the SADGA team, and we are 12 and a 13, and we play against a 10 and 11 handicap. The 10 goes to Scratch. His partner goes to 1, I go to 2, and Basil goes to 3. And then that stroke 1, 2, 3 that we then stroke against the lower handicapper. So when we play stroke 1, the 3 other players stroke on the 10 handicap. When we play stroke 2, the 2 of us, me and Basil, will stroke on that hole. When we, and so it goes. In stroke 3, it will be Basil that will stroke on that hole. And then you play basically a medal format. So, argument's sake, say none of us stroke. It's stroke 16, the hole. Then basically the guy that plays, the team that plays the least amount of holes, so they play individual ball. So if I make 3 and no one strokes there, I make a 4, Basil make a 3, and the other guy makes 2 4s as well. Then Basil wins the hole for us as a team, and then you're 1 up. or depending on the situation, and you play basically till there are not enough holes left, and you are, say for instance, there's 2 holes left, but you're already 3 up. But you've won 3 and 2 because the other team can't do anymore. But most people that play competitive golf, most of us at SADGA, the guys listening, they all know this. They should know it. So a very important thing that I want to comment on this is we entered a league, and we asked the question to enter as a SADGA association, and because it sort of just to start integrating, with able body. Although we've already, all of us are integrated with able body. We play every Saturday at our clubs, or during whoever's got, people will know that you play with your friends, the able body. So golf is a perfect sport for integration, actually, and it lends it to itself because it's handicap. It's got a handicap. It's a perfect sport. So you can compete against anyone, pros to old people to young people to anyone. But anyway, so the opportunity is there for the other guys listening here. It's not how can we enter now in a SADGA, because there's not enough players maybe in that region to enter as a SADGA team in the region. You don't need to take part as SADGA. You can actually, you can get in contact with your club, with the club captain or with the team captains, and ask them if you can play league in the normal league. So all the guys out there, you mustn't think you have to be part now of a SADGA specific team to go and play league. League is open to anyone. It's irrespective of able, disability, or anything. If you basically got a good network in your club and the guys like you, and because it's especially a handicap league, anyone can play. There's no restriction. There's no restriction on, say you have 44 handicap, you can play. There might be in other, I'm not sure in other regions, but not in Gauteng North. On our handicap league, there's no restriction. So it actually opens it up to everyone. And I actually would recommend the guys listening to this to actually go to their clubs and try and get into their normal, mingle with the able body as they do anyway, and try and get into the normal teams. So next year we will probably, we're quite a lot in Pretoria. We we might enter more than one team. We will see how it goes. But anyway, that's just a bit of background.
Okay, awesome. Well, it's very, very comprehensive. So thank you for that. But Basil, just sort of switching to you. I mean, describe the nerves that you felt in that opening match and on that first tee. I mean, how would you compare them to like a normal Saturday afternoon comp at your club or club champs or whatever the case may be? I mean, did you notice a definite difference in the level of pressure that you felt?
Well, we've been doing league for over 30 years, but now you're representing a cause, and that is us as the disabled players. And there's a bit of pressure on it, but I think the soothing fact for us was that Dale came across and said, guys, you don't have to win, you have to play as a team. And I think that took pressure off us, because you want to go in there and make a huge impact for disabled golf and for all your colleagues. And just those wise words from Dale made us feel a little bit more relaxed. And then you just stay on top with all your guys and keep them happy and just tell them to do their best. And we know for a fact, if you're not really doing your best, that you shouldn't really be in the team. And then Johan and I came up with the point system. So, if your points tell for you whether you're going to be in or out. So as far as the nerves goes, well, it was a little bit. I think I just try always make it light. I'm quite a joker when it comes to that. I try and get under the other people's skin by, telling stories and joking and all this sort of stuff, and just have a more relaxed atmosphere, because the moment you get tense, the ball definitely doesn't go where you want it to go. Well, most times it doesn't go where you want it to go anyway.
Craig, just to add to that. So we, in the beginning, we had, the way we got to the team I just sent a mail and asked the guys who would want to join. So we got quite a huge interest from other regions as well, and eventually we had to narrow it down, because Gauteng North only, because our subs are paid through them. So they only said, well, there's only one restriction, that the guys must belong to a club in Gauteng North. Okay, and then we limited it down to everyone that that said they're willing to play, and we got about 16 players interested. And we started with our best possible team, looking from a handicap point of view, which is not necessarily correct, because a higher handicap can make a lot of points if you team with a lower handicap. So we've sussed it out a bit, and our point system that Basil is referring to is obviously we know anyway how many IPS points a guy would have made, looking at his adjusted gross. So what we decided, learning a bit about it, so to give everyone sort of a chance, there are a couple of guys that haven't had a chance yet, but maybe next year we will see, because the league is nearly done. But basically what we decided is that individually the guys, look, a team is, I didn't say that earlier, there's 4 pairs. So a handicap league, a team consists out of 4 pairs players. So what we've done is now we've 16 in the group. So what we've done is the guys that got the 2 lowest IPS points, not necessarily in one team, but in any team, we replace them with other players, and so we have been guys coming back and forth, and that's just the method we've been doing it, because we want to get used to it. Maybe next year we will be more competitive, and we've learned, Basil and I have learned to put together, and so we're still learning actually.
Yeah, we'll see, but for the many people who are watching who aren't necessarily part of the Handicap League WhatsApp group, I mean, if there's one thing I can say about being part of the group is that Dale, your support has been absolutely amazing, week in and week out, and sending well wishes to the guys, etc. What have your impressions been on how the guys have played throughout the season?
I think that it was brilliant that Northern Gauteng allowed them to have a team. Maybe that's a wrong term, saying allowed them to have a team, but made the decision that the SADGA could have a team in the Northern Gauteng League. And it's created so much chatter amongst all the teams, that they are playing. I mean, everybody's talking about it. In the Handicap League, they're all talking about the games that they've played against them or are going to play against them, whether they've won, lost, or drawn. It really hasn't made any difference. And I think that's the important thing. The Premier League is a league that's quite competitive. It's very competitive, in fact. And I think it's the same all over South Africa. I know, Craig, where you are in Cape Town, in the old days, it always used to be very competitive.
Yeah.
Harry Solomon, I think it was called, was it?
Yes, yeah. And
so that was very competitive. And it's the same, I think, in Joburg or Durban or Pretoria. But the Handicap League is fun. It really is, really it's kind of much more social, meeting people from other clubs, having a bit of fun. Yes, it's always nice to win. Everybody likes to win. But I think it's terrific, the spirit that everybody is playing, has adopted. It really is. I think it's very, very special. And I think both Basil and Johan will agree with me that the guys that you've played against, have just been, over the moon to be playing against the team. And, I think also, it's nice. I mean, at a lot of golf clubs, there are guys with disabilities that play regular golf on Saturdays, as Johan mentioned. But I think this is going to make, anybody that's a disabled golfer, okay, a regular member of the club, of whatever club they play. If they play at Waterkloof Golf Club or Wingate Golf Club or Swartkop in Pretoria or Mowbray or Royal Cape or Westlake in Cape Town, whatever club they play at, they just can't be another golfer. Okay,
yeah.
It makes no difference, and I think this is a big step for I'm sorry that Johan thought of this and not me, because it's the first good idea Johan's had in a long time.
Thanks, Dale.
I'm kidding you. But Johan, the idea to put a team in, I think is absolutely brilliant. And I think what they've achieved in a short time, in a couple of months, has been phenomenal.
Yeah. No, I mean, it's absolutely incredible.
Yeah,
And I mean, Basil, sort of, just sort of shifting our focus a bit to the win against Blue Valley. I mean, take me there and the emotions that you guys must have felt there, because it's, again, you guys punched above your weight considerably, and it must have been quite rewarding to get over the line.
Yeah, Blue Valley was, yeah.
Basil, I thought that was quite rude that he said you punched above your weight, and then he went straight to you and left me out of it.
No, they've been respectful. Yeah. Anyway, well, Blue Valley was quite a thing. Johan couldn't attend on the day. We had a provincial day. At
maybe
the same time.
that's why. Maybe that's why you won. Huh?
No, I don't think so. But the guys went in there right from the beginning. In fact, Blue Valley accommodated us. They let us go in front of the entire field. We were only supposed to tee off at 8 o'clock, and then I spoke to their club captain. I said, guys, we've got to still play at Modderfontein today. And they thought we're mad. How can you guys that are so disabled and dear Makar, as they thought, still play another game of golf? And I think at first they thought, you know what, let's just accommodate these guys. But once we got going and they saw how serious we were, especially we were playing against a guy with a 3 or 4 handicap that he went to pieces. He completely went to pieces. Before he's one of the better drivers. I mean, we were out driving him by a long way. And I had Johan Kotze with me in the team, and we couldn't see Jack. And they put the ball, and they sort of, why are they doing that? I said, well, he can't see his balls. Anyway, and then he started smacking the ball well. So between us, we got these guys rather rattled. I know it's not those balls, but I mean, he saw the little white ball. The others, he just got peripheral on.
The ball.
Just to clarify.
Yeah, for sure. But I think we earned a lot of respect from the guys, because up until then, they'd been running pretty well in the league. And our guys just came through on the day. And, that is the way I can see us going forward. Being dedicated to what we're doing, having fun, but also having serious fun at the same time, because we know that we're doing something good, and we want to make it better and improve it all the time, getting the right amount of people in to have a real strong team. And I don't think people realize how determined the disabled golfers are. When you first get there, they look at you, and you look at a guy like Jan Potgieter, whose hands are completely opposite, and then when he smacks that ball, the guys immediately say, oh, this is a real game. We're not playing against a whole lot of funny people. We're playing against real players. And I think that showing that we are actual real players and determined and interested in pulling our handicaps down and playing better is carrying a lot of weight for disabled golf.
Johan, do you think that in a way, without trying to be funny about it, I mean, do you think that in a way the disabilities that the various players have, do you think that's almost like a 15th club in a way? Because do you think the able-bodied players psych themselves out a bit?
Maybe in the beginning, but as Basil have just mentioned, I quickly gathered they shouldn't look off. Because of the handicap system, we actually we're going in there on the same level, because we all have the same way, so they should realize that if you're 15 and the other guy's 5 or a 10 and you play handicap and you get 10 shots, and they should realize that it's going to be competitive, because our handicaps are as theirs calculated, so there's no difference. But we could use it because our strong-minded, our temperaments and fighting spirit in the beginning quickly come through. What's interesting, I've noticed that most of the halfway, when we speak and we sit there and we still, not teeing off in the second 9, a lot of times we're actually leading.
Jeez.
And then on the second 9, we start losing as if the other guys sort of kick in and we sort of, lose a bit of momentum. But it's interesting to know that most of the matches we've been leading 3 of the 4 matches every time halfway. And then we draw or win, or in some cases lose. So
yeah, well, I mean, stopping for halfway is one of those double-edged swords where when it's going well, you don't want to stop. because otherwise it'll kill your momentum. But when you're struggling, it can be just what you need to sort of regroup and stuff. But
it's true.
I think what I've noticed is that by halfway, and you sit down, they can actually see you are normal and you are competitive, and I think that they go out with a different mindset to say, hey, this is not just a fun game. We've got to be serious if we want to do well.
Yeah,
and I think that's what I've noticed.
And sort of starting with you, Basil, and then we can ask Johan. But Basil, what do you think you guys need to do against Swartkorp A to maybe sneak a victory? What do you think you guys need to do that?
What we are doing is we're pairing ourselves to a more competitive standard. We're looking at who's going to be matched with who, and using our handicaps. It's pointless if, like Johan said, if I'm a 13 and he's a 12, that's the wrong combination. It's much better to have a 12 and a 28 or a 26 because you're now gaining a lot of strokes. And those guys inevitably will come in on a short hole and every now and again come in on a hole. And that sucks them, especially when they think, oh, we've won with a birdie. He comes in with a 3 and we still win on a double stroke, So it makes it interesting. So the guys understand what they have to do, and I think they'll get down and we will do it. And, once again, as I say, every single match, we're encouraged and enlightened with Dale's words of wisdom to let us know that, even though we are competitive, we're not professional, but we're there to enjoy it and have fun and obviously try and win at the same time.
Yeah, to add on that, look, it's actually very simple if you think about it. If you play to your handicap, you should win, because if you used to competitive golf and you play Saturdays or whenever you compete, you will realize quickly that every 80% of golfers after they've played moaned that they had a bad day, and 20% had a good day. So the 20% is guys that's playing on their handicap or a bit better. So my view is always, let's just play to your handicap. So if our team can play to their handicap, and we all do that, you will win, because 8 guys playing to their handicap against a 20% ratio on the other side not playing or playing to their handicap, we should be okay. But realistically, it doesn't happen because we're not professional. You can prepare, as hard as you want to, but on the day, because we're amateurs, you can have a bad day or a good day. I'm just saying, your determination to try and get to play as close to your handicap as possible, that should be your carrot, and that should be good enough according to me.
No, that's very, very true.
I don't know, Dale, what your thoughts are on that.
No, you're 100% right, Johan. I mean, most people don't play to their handicap, and especially in a match. Whether it's a match play game or whether it's a normal competition, most people don't play to their handicap. So you're 100% correct. If you both play to a handicap, and then you also obviously got to have a little bit of luck that you dovetail well.
Yeah.
And if you dovetail well, you're going to win a lot of games. But I think the other thing that you guys have going for you is that you, and I'm gonna say all of you, and I'm probably exaggerating slightly. I'm sure not all of you, but have such a great attitude. You're so positive, and I think you go in there with the attitude that you're going to come hell or high water. You're going to have fun. You're going to enjoy it. You're going to compete. You're going to do your best. You don't get rattled. You don't get angry. You don't get frustrated and disappointed. As much, I think, as some of the other golfers that you're playing against. And I think that makes a huge difference. And that's what I've heard from some of the players that you've played against. And some of them have said, that you guys have a bad hole or a couple of bad holes, and it doesn't really bother you, as much as it bothers them when they do the same thing. And I think that's a big plus you guys have got going for you. And everybody is amazed just by how well, you guys all cope with your disabilities, whatever they might be. You know, you've got a smile on your face. You're happy to be there. You know, you're over the moon now that you play league, and etc. etc. And you know, they all just look at themselves and they say, you know, I can't believe that I complained because my coffee wasn't as hot as I wanted it this morning. Or I can't believe I complained about, you know, silly things that we complain about. You know, when you're playing against a guy who's maybe got one leg or one arm, and he's having the time of his life. You know, and I think that's a great thing. And I think a lot of the people that you play against are learning a lot from you guys. I really believe that. I think they probably learning as much or more from you guys than you learning from them, which is great.
Oh, that's great. Yeah, thanks for that, Dale.
Yeah, concur.
And yeah, I mean, you know, how much would it mean to you guys, for you guys to end with a victory? I mean, obviously it's been a very, very successful season regardless, but Johan, I mean, how much would it mean, do you think, to the team, but
look,
also
it will end off the year, you know, from a league point of view, because there aren't there's mixed league and so forth going, you know, forward, but they aren't really. We don't have enough ladies to enter a SADGA team for that, but we can enter with our clubs, as I said earlier. But it will mean a lot if we can, you know, it's always nice to end off something, you know, with a victory, so that at least we move up the ranks a bit. And then next year our focus could be more to try and even end up higher. But it's like Dale has always said, and all of us enjoy it tremendously just to play golf anyway, just to be out there amongst people that you network with, that you eventually become friends with, maybe mingling out there in nature, and love the game itself. For me, critically, what's important is the awareness amongst able-bodied players with us as disabled. I mean, there's really been a lot of that, where I know we had an awareness month in November last year, but doing this is quite a victory for us in terms of getting people to, from an awareness point of view. And secondly, you know, this also sends a message out there, and people looking at this is there's lots of disabled golfers that are not aware of the association called SADGA. So this is a great opportunity for marketing and, you know, advertising, so that they can join us. There's lots they can actually get involved with, as you know, and people will be, you know, they will really be astonished on what, you know, as we've learned, this great organization that we belong to. And it's people like Dale, you know, and their club, Swartkorp, that makes it, you know, even easier for us, you know, to compete, and then also to market ourselves and market actually just golf, basically, you know, to everyone out there. So, yeah.
well, I mean, you guys, yeah, sorry, Dale, go for it.
You know, thanks very much for those kind words. But I think you'll agree is that there's a new attitude at all clubs towards SADGA. You know, I think all clubs, I think, are becoming much more welcoming in having your tournaments there, having golf days, having whatever, you know, and it's great to see. It really is good to see, because, you know, that's what we all should be doing. And I think
that's much appreciated. Yeah.
Well, you guys are no, sorry, Johan, go for it. Or you?
I'd like to say something.
Basil.
When I first joined Disabled Golf in 2000, Andy Scott got me interested because I thought I wasn't disabled, merely because I only lost 3 fingers and funny hands and all the rest. But I went to that first one with a very open mind and was quite amazed that people in a much worse condition than me could play such good golf. And although I won the Les Hauts at that stage, I'll never forget the prize giving. We were all sitting there waiting, and the Minister of Sport from the Western Cape came in. Next minute, this guy walks in with a massive axe, and he's got a big black coat on, and thinking, geez, what's going on here? So he said, no, he's here to recruit new members. Anybody want to lose an arm or a leg? And, you know, if you think about it, that's how fast a person can become disabled. It's not going to, you're not allergic to it. It can happen to anybody. And this is why I think people got to realize that there is hope after you have had tragedy or disaster, and life will continue. And golf is one of the best ways of bringing you out of your shell and making you more acceptable. And the other thing I like about the SADGA golf, nobody's story is worse than the other. Everybody's got a story. So let's get on with it and play golf. That's the whole story. That's my bit. Thank you.
100%.
Craig,
Couldn't
I
agree
must
more.
tell you, 'cause I go a long way back with Basil. Okay.
Oh, okay.
I've known him a very long time. But I must tell you, if you ever want to do an auction, you want Basil in the room. He is the biggest sucker at an auction that you've ever met. I sold him Bobby Locke's old golf shoes 5 years in a row. 5 years in a row, I sold him an old pair of Bobby Locke golf shoes. And every year he gave them back to us, and I sold them again to him the next year.
For a good cause. Yeah. Anyway,
But
those are now at the Mandeville Hall in a frame, just by the way. Yeah.
Dale, I think at some point we need to record a podcast where you reminisce about all of the practical jokes that you've played on people over the years.
A lot of them I can't win. A lot of the stuff about Basil I'm not allowed to repeat, though.
No.
I've heard a great story involving a trick shot and a watch, which you used to execute quite a lot at when you were at Mowbray, which a lot of the members there remember quite fondly.
No, that was classic. In fact, the very best one was at Pretoria West Golf Club, and it just so happened the guy that I picked had quite a fancy looking watch, but it was exactly the same as the one that I had in my pocket. Or it looked very
Okay.
And so I went to him and I said, lend me your watch. I want to do a trick shot. And, I stood there and I took a practice swing. And, of course, I just hit the club straight into the ground. I said, no, I'm only joking. Anyway, I hit this, I'd swapped watches, obviously. And I hit this watch into 1 million pieces. I promise you, in 1 million pieces. It just took off in 1 million pieces. And I just looked at this guy and his eyes were this big. He couldn't believe what happened. He was just looking like this. And he never said a word. And every time I looked at him, he was just looking with these big eyes at me. And eventually, 20 minutes later, I finished the clinic. And I walked over to him. And of course, I had his watch in my pocket. And I walked over to him. And I said, geez, I'm sorry about that, man. I said, it usually works. He said, that's the watch. That's the watch that my wife gave me when we got married. I don't know what I'm going to say to her. I said, you don't have to say anything. And I gave him you've never seen a person more relieved in your whole life. I promise you could have kissed me. He was so relieved. So those were very funny days, some of those things.
From what I've heard, you couldn't find anyone more annoyed than Rob Barry at Mowbray. From what I've heard, but as I say, we should definitely try and organize a podcast because I'm sure a lot of our members will enjoy hearing you take a trip down memory lane. But guys, thank you so much for the time, and you are all fantastic ambassadors for the association. And on behalf of SADGA, I just want to thank you for everything that you do, and for I just want to wish you luck for the final game of the season. I mean, you guys continue to do us proud, and just keep going and enjoy it and have fun.
Thanks, Craig.
Oh,
Thanks for the opportunity.
Okay, and we'll if you guys pull off a victory in the final game, we can then record a celebratory podcast for sure.
And your pleasure. Yeah.
Okay.
Well,
Cheers,
I'll see you, Dale and Johan tomorrow. But anyway,
That's
thanks
right.
very much, Craig, and all the best. Go well.
Thanks so much. You too.
Okay.
Cool, guys.
Yes,
Cheers.
thank you.
Bye.
Bye.